Hi, I'm Amy Parsons, president of Colorado State University and host of the Next 150 podcast. We have so many remarkable people in our community, and this is where we're going to hear their stories. We're going to get their perspectives on CSU's next 150 years and gather their very best advice for today's CSU students. Let's get started, Rams. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Next 150 podcast. I'm Amy Parsons, president of Colorado State University, and today I'm in Denver at the Gaylord Hotel at the National Association of Governing Boards annual conference, where I just had the good fortune of interviewing the most remarkable panel of experts in the world of college sports, and they have agreed to hang back a little bit after the panel to have a post-panel conversation with me. So thank you all for hanging back for this conversation. I'm joined by Teresa Gould, Commissioner of the Pac-12, William King, General Counsel for the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and Oliver Luck, longtime leader across collegiate and professional athletics, and now a trustee at WVU and advisor in the space. Now, their full amazing bios will be in the show notes, so I won't get into that right now, but it's really rare to have these three leaders in one place at one time. They span the world of collegiate sports, the Olympic movement, professional sports, the world of trustees. So thank you all again for participating in the national conference and participating in this discussion with CSU. You know, we just wrapped up our session that was full of college and university trustees. And rather than just cataloging all of the challenges that are facing collegiate sports today, of which we know there are many, from NIL and rev share and conference realignment and gambling and all the rest of the things, we really tried to focus the trustees on why we do collegiate sports in the first place and what's really important for them to keep in mind as they're navigating all these challenges. So talk a little bit about what messages you wanted to bring to this session today and what you hoped that university trustees would really keep in mind. And Teresa, I'll start with you.
Well, thanks for having us. This is such a fun podcast, and it's so great to be here with Oliver and William. So I think it was such a great opportunity to be sitting in a room with trustees who have committed their time to institutions that they love. And I think the message that I really wanted them to hear is, amidst all of this chaos in our industry, and I think it's really easy to pick up the newspaper or turn on the TV and hear all of the change that's going on and forget the core purpose for why college athletics exists. And so the advice that I gave them was really around three different things. First and foremost, to kind of anchor yourself in our why, which is to provide opportunities for young people on our university campuses to get an education and compete at the highest level. Does it look different in this environment? Absolutely. Yeah. It looks different than it's ever looked. However, the opportunity that we have as educators still exists to support them and mentor them and develop them, whether we have them on our campuses for a semester or for 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I really encourage the trustees to think about the young people that we're here to serve and what this experience looks like in this ever-changing landscape. I also mentioned just how much these communities still care about their teams and about their institutions. And I love, as a commissioner, being able to visit our campuses and showing up on a game day and seeing the fandom and the passion.
Do you have a favorite campus?
Colorado State
Thank
University.
Thank you. Oh, amazing.
You show up in these tailgate lots and the passion, I mean, the stories of these fans that have been coming to games for decades. People really care. These communities really care about these programs and are so proud. And to stay focused on that. Let's not focus on all of the chaos and all the challenges and all the problems. Stay focused on that. And then we also talked a little bit on the panel about brand elevation. And there really is no other mechanism to promote an institutional brand than what you have through athletics. And so I just hope all the trustees leave the conversation today really anchored in those things and focused on those things versus the distractions of all the chaos that is around us.
Yeah, because it's really easy to focus on the chaos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Oliver, you're a sitting trustee at a university. So what did you hope to bring to the trustee discussion today?
Well, I let me go back to Teresa's 3 points. I think they're all spot on. You know, nobody else in the world does college athletics like we do in this country. And it's something we should be very proud of. The community involvement, the alumni involvement, it is the glue that holds things together, if you will. And it's a great way to highlight and showcase fun things happening on campus. As a trustee, though, I think it's very important that we have very honest, direct, and sometimes very tough conversations amongst ourselves, obviously, but also with our president, our athletic director, et cetera, because there is an economic aspect to all of this. And as we know from higher ed, enrollment cliff, challenges across the board, you know better as president than all of us do. But it's very important to have those difficult conversations and to be very smart and deliberate in our decision making. And I think that's something that all trustees need to be sort of schooled on, if you will. It's not just go along to get along, but there's a reason we're doing this, and we can enunciate those reasons very clearly to our constituencies.
Yeah, it's hard to be schooled on it though when the rules are changing all the time. Right? I mean, there's
All the
different
more
pieces
reason to
of
talk,
federal
right?
legislation, right? I mean, there's all these court cases, there's new rules, the conferences have their own rules, there's realignment. I mean, part of the biggest challenge is just staying up to speed on what's going on the landscape. It can be really, it's tough for a president.
I would say it's important for trustees to really be engaged, because it's very hard for a president, as you know, or an athletic director, to say, oh, no, we really can't compete with that school.
Right.
They're too good for us. We don't have those kind of resources. That's not what the base wants to hear. And those are folks that support the university. So it's typically, we can be a better institution. We have the resources to do it. We've got the finest student athletes, the best facilities, et cetera. And but those conversations need to be had, internally, to make sure everybody's on board.
For sure. I totally agree. And those conversations aren't getting any easier. It seems like they might get a lot harder before they get better.
Yeah, that's for sure. And so I agree with everything they said, so I won't repeat it. My focus is a little different and maybe a little more narrow, working for the USOPC now. But the message I wanted to deliver today was make sure that the trustees understand how critical their athletics departments are to the success of Team USA in the Olympics. And the majority of our team historically participated in college athletics at the Division I level. That's not going to change. And just to make sure that they, especially coming off such a successful games, which we just experienced in Milan Cortina, to make sure that the focus is appropriately there, not too much, but the right amount of focus, that these sports don't always get the most attention, but they are incredibly valuable to your university. You're doing a great service for the country and for Team USA in supporting those sports, and they bring a lot of goodwill for the university. You and I spoke before about your personal experience, like having a successful Olympic athlete can really be a very positive spotlight for the university.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking before the podcast about Amy Van Dyken, one of our Olympians out of CSU. We recently had her back on campus, and she's such a hero to our community, not just because she was a great Olympian and a great athlete at CSU, but what she's gone on to do in her life. And, talk a little bit more, William, about, you mentioned the role in the country and the service to the country, because to me, the Olympics are such a great sort of democratic moment in the world when we see, American athletes on the world stage representing the country, and really unifies us in a way that maybe nothing else does it like that. And, at CSU, democracy is one of our priorities, right? I mean, that universities really contribute to democracy in a lot of interesting ways. And I think contributing to the Olympics and the Olympic movement is one of those ways, and one of those things that I worry about with so much money focused on football and some of these other sports right now, that we lose that thread.
You just said everything I was thinking. But I will say, in particular, since this is maybe a Colorado State-oriented audience, the Olympic presence in the state of Colorado is, obviously huge. In addition to our headquarters being here, several national governing bodies, many of the athletes grew up here or train here, particularly for the winter sports. So yeah, it's incredibly important. And again, I think it can be just such a rallying point for people on campus. We talked about this a good bit already, that a successful athletics program is not required to be a good university, but if you have one, it's just another type of exposure positive for the university, and it can be a real attraction for prospective students. It's a part of it. I've seen that over and over again, where a university has a successful run in a sport, and all of a sudden you start hearing your friends that their children are interested in the university. It's just a reality, and it's that way throughout the country.
Can you talk a little bit about the role that the NCAA plays, not just in Team USA, but in the Olympics in general, and the athletes that are representing the whole world? Because I think not everybody knows that about us.
Yes, I'll be brief because I want to hear from them on this one too. So the NCAA has been a great partner. The USOPC continues to be. The actual pipeline happens one level down or two levels down from the conference to the campus to your campus. I mean, that's where the actual development occurs, is on campuses throughout the country. And it's, I don't have the statistics. The team we just took to Milan Cortina was well above 50% were college athletes, some U.S., some from other countries. So yeah, it's just that you can't really overstate the role that it plays in the success of the USOPC and Team USA.
Yeah. Other things that you two would add about the Olympic sports right now?
Well, one of the things that I want to go back to, Amy, you've been such an advocate for talking about democracy and the role that higher education kind of plays around that. And I think one of the things that is of high value of whether it's the Olympics and like Team USA or college athletics is at a time in our country where there's so much divisiveness, right? And there's so much tension going on. College athletics and the Olympics are one of the great connectors.
Yeah, no
where
doubt about it.
people come together and are unified in supporting their team. Even we're in the middle of March, we're a week away from the Final Four, and you might be competitors as neighbors if you're, vying for different teams, but you'll get together and go to that watch party and watch those games together.
Yeah.
So I think there's some real value around sport, whether it's college athletics or Team USA and the Olympics, that is incredible for our country at a time where we need people to come together.
Yeah, in person. Right, in person, not on devices, in
right.
person, in the stands, cheering people on, and Oliver.
Well, to me, the two greatest sporting events, and we're lucky to have both of them going on either now or soon, but the Final Four coming up, men's and women's, that's an unbelievably successful and tremendous event. Then the World Cup. Coming to this country. I've already got my tickets.
Yeah.
I'm a German guy. My mother was born and raised over there. So I'm going to watch Germany play Curacao, the smallest ever World Cup participant. They expanded the field. I'm sure the tournament's going to expand the field too. But Teresa is 100% correct. Sport should be a unifier. It should bring people together. And we root for our teams, and we're disappointed if we're a Dookie fan, right, because they lost last night. But it's really important to have sport as a unifier and a connector.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to add one thing because Teresa reminded me of this. So I was fortunate enough to be in Milan for the Olympics, and consider myself before this job to be fairly patriotic, and I wasn't really ready for it. Because in my former job, we had 16 universities, and they were competing against each other, and I was neutral. And here this is our team. There's only one team. We're all Americans are for this team, and it was remarkable. It was much more emotional, the highs and the lows, particularly the highs, the hockey games, and some of the other events I was able to see. Just remarkable, it really was.
William, I understand that it's the women who won the most medals for Team USA in this last Olympics. True?
That is correct.
That is correct.
Not the first time it's happened.
Won't be the last either.
Not the last. So our women's, everyone did exceptionally well. My first few months, I was learning about our expectations for the games, and we were very aggressive in projections on how the team would do and medal count and all that. And they were pretty much spot on. And it was, I think the women won 62 or 63% of the medals and 6 of the 12 gold medals. So, it's definitely very much a team effort.
Yeah, well, I bring that up. I mean, I'm a bit, facetious, but and one of our Rams, Hunter Powell, a man, we're very proud of him. He was in the
we like him
Olympics on
too.
the bobsled team, was outstanding track and field athlete at CSU, and then went on to bobsled.
Yeah.
But you talk about sport bringing people together. We just in Denver had a really remarkable day when we set a new record for the number of fans showing up for a National Women's Soccer League team and the launch of the Denver Summit in Mile High Stadium. And I was there. I wasn't prepared for how moving that would be to see our first women's professional team and to have a crowd of 60,000 plus people show up to support them was really remarkable. Our women went to March Madness, and our women's basketball team this year. I think we're a great community around women right now in women's sports and the advent of women's sports. That is something that I worry a bit right now. And with regard to the money and things going into football and some of the men's sports, how do we really keep that momentum going and that investment and that focus on women's sports, which I think is inherently a democratic thing in the United States too, that we should be proud of, thanks to Title IX, right? And big moves that this country has made over a year to kind of level the playing field in sport. I don't want to get down about it. I'm optimistic about women's sports, but I'm also concerned a bit about it as well.
Well, I think what you just described and the NWSL launch here in Denver this weekend, I think just demonstrates that an investment in women's sports as a product, a viable commercial product, will pay off. And I think for so long, at least in college sports, leaders looked at investment in women's sports and they only looked at the short-term economics, or they would look at it as a values proposition and said, our female student athletes deserve to have a comparable experience as our male student athletes, which is true. I think what has been missing is we've been investing in men's sports for 100 years. So to look at the bottom line and expect that women's sports should be reaping the same financial return as men's sports is just unrealistic. Because women's sports are starting on first base and men's sports are on third base right now. That's the truth. And I think what we're seeing with the NWSL and crowds like you experienced at Mile High and the WNBA is that as a commercial product, which is only part of why you make the investment, but as a commercial product, fans will buy tickets, viewers will turn on the TV, sponsors want to partner with women's sports organizations. We haven't even started to realize what the potential could be.
I think the good news is the market has spoken.
Right, right.
And it's the wrong time for the universities where it all started, really, with Title
Right.
IX, 50 years ago or 50 plus years ago now?
Yeah.
It's the wrong time for our schools, our universities to pare back.
invest,
And now is the
yeah.
right time to invest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree with you on that, but I'll also have to say, as a university president, it's extremely hard, right, to maintain that.
Easy for us to
that
say,
it
harder
is-
for
it
you to
is,
implement.
That's
that-
why we need good leaders just like you.
Thank you. I mean, just there's a lot of colleges and universities under pressure from whether it's the federal government, state budgets, demographic cliff, enrollment, all these things. I think we see the value of what you're talking about in women's sports and democracy and Team USA and all these things that we hold dear, and certainly how important it is to our students, our alumni, our community, the economic vitality of the towns that we're in, and what sports and game days bring to that, which is critically important. But that said, it's also a very, very challenging time financially to do what we're expected to do, especially in the age of rev share and NIL. So wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention that, right? And all the different pressures on us.
Look, I think with all the financial pressures that university presidents and athletic directors are living under, the winners in all of this will be the ones that disrupt the status quo and find a different path forward. Our industry in college sports is such an industry of copycats, and everybody's trying to keep up and everybody's trying to copy what everybody else is doing, when in reality, with all the transformational change we've experienced, what we should be thinking about is a different model moving forward for higher education and for college athletics so that we can sustain these programs. But that will require some forward-thinking disruption to how we do things.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to be the one to do it, Teresa, because you don't get the chance very often to start a new conference, right? And the Pac-12 went down to 2. You rebuilt it back up. It's this big Herculean effort. It's an amazing story, but it's sort of all eyes on the Pac-12 and how we're going to do things differently in this environment. So anyway, good luck. We're all behind you on this. So have a big job in this time. So, we're going to end on a positive note, and I'll ask each one of you to say, what are you most excited about right now in the world of sports, whether Olympic, college sports, or pro sports? What's exciting and positive for you right now, William?
I'll go first, and I'll focus on Olympics. So we had an incredibly successful Olympics and Paralympics games in Milan Cortina, following up the same that happened in Paris in 2024. I think the future of the Olympic movement in the USOPC is extraordinarily bright. I don't have enough historical perspective to compare it to before, but it certainly seems like everybody in our building is very excited. And we have a unique opportunity. We have 2 Olympic Games in the U.S. over the next 8 years. And that is an unprecedented opportunity, LA 28, for our summer team, and in particular for the Paralympic movement. I've talked to some of our leaders in that movement, and they really feel like that they've been steadily gaining momentum and recognition and exposure, and that I think LA 28 offers literally once in a generation opportunity for that. So I'm extremely excited about that.
That's great. Yeah, Teresa.
I think the thing that excites me the most is that fan interest and fan engagement has never been higher. And, amidst all of the change and chaos in our industry, fans are still showing up. They're still, tuning in on television. They're still buying tickets. They're still passionate about their teams. And I think it's our responsibility as leaders to come up with a sustainable future to support our student athletes and put a product out on the field that will continue that trajectory, because our fans still care deeply, deeply about what we're doing in college sports.
Yep, absolutely.
I think that's 100% correct. I would also say that one of the reasons the fans are so engaged is the quality of play, whether it's football, basketball, the Olympic sports, is at an all-time high. Coaches are better, strength coaches, you name it, across the athletes, 12-month-a-year training. The quality is fantastic, and I think that's something that we'll never lose, and I'm excited about that in all the sports.
That's great. Well, Oliver, Teresa, and William, thank you all for joining me on this panel at the AGB National Conference to have this important conversation with the trustees. And thanks for hanging back with me for a little bit of time on the next 150. There are so many challenges in college sports, but you're all right. There's so much to be excited about right now, and we need great, creative, innovative leaders leading the way, especially at this moment in history. And you 3 are those leaders. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us on this episode of The Next 150. Take care. Go Rams. Thank you for listening. I'm Amy Parsons, President of Colorado State University, and you're listening to CSU's The Next 150, where we explore what comes next for CSU by chatting with change makers who are already leading the charge and shaping our next 150 years. I'm gathering their very best advice for today's CSU students. Stay tuned to wherever you get podcasts for our next outstanding conversation. Go Rams!